time, trap game.
It could. How about this game right here? I picked the Browns last week to beat the Bengals because I had a feeling with the way the Browns been playing lately and the new offensive system that it was going to work against a Bengals team that is not only depleted without A.J. Green, but Andy Dalton cannot get anything right. And unfortunately, Andy Dalton suffered a season-ending thumb injury. The second time in his career this has happened to him. And this was because Billy Price, on a fumble, the rookie center, gives him a bad snap, which causes a fumble. He has to try and recover it to avoid a turnover. Unfortunately, Emmanuel Ogba, the big defensive end for the Browns, lands on his thumb, and basically that's pretty much it. And now they had to bring in Jeff Driscoll for the rest of the game, which he didn't do too bad in relief. But the Browns were already down 28 points to nothing at the hands of Baker Mayfield. Four touchdowns, a career high. The Browns win 35-20, second consecutive win.
I think you can stick a fork in the Bengals because whatever chances they might have had are officially done. As far as the Browns are concerned, well, let me put it this way. They've already exceeded more expectations this year alone than they have in the previous 15 years, going 4-6-1 this year. And with the schedule the way that it is, dare I say that maybe they break 500?
I think not only that, they just broke a losing streak on the road. 25 games without a win on the road, over in this one game. That's years upon years of futility, right? That's the last few years of futility, outside of Cleveland, ended this week.
Yep.
And the Cowboys, of course, making a nice donation to the Salvation Army's kettle with $21 by Ezekiel Elliott. They beat the Redskins on Thanksgiving Day, 31-23. Remember 2 years ago, same team, same day. Ezekiel Elliott gets a touchdown, goes into the kettle, gets fined by the league. I thought it was one of the most hilarious things he ever did.
Oh, I thought it was hysterical.
And yet the league, of course, had the proverbial stick, and had to give him a fine, unfortunately. But this game in particular, Steve Mariucci made a prediction on the NFL pre-show that Cooper would break the Thanksgiving Day record for receiving yards. And Cooper did 180 receiving yards on 9 catches and a spectacular touchdown in which he bounced off a player 41 yards to the left side. I thought he was just a 9 yards score. It was unbelievable.
Well, first things first. The Redskins, I can't figure out what type of team they are right now. I mean, I know that they're decent at quarterback and okay at running back.
Alex Smith is done for the year, and Colt McCoy is anything but decent. Yeah, he made some good plays, but this is a journeyman quarterback who hasn't started in 4 years and was a shell of what he could be. He was absolute garbage, but then again, he was working with a garbage O-line that's been depleted by injuries too. So,
well, on the flip side, leave it to the Cowboys to not only come away with an impressive victory, but an impressive victory against a hated division rival. That was so big for going into the rest of the regular season.
Definitely. Steelers, Broncos. The Pittsburgh Steelers had a chance. They're down 24-17. They're driving down the field. Roethlisberger throws what should be a heck of a pass to Antonio Brown for 2 yards and gets picked off by Shelby Harris. They lose 24-17.
Speaking of teams who I can't figure out what this Broncos team is now. I mean, defensively, they're modest. Offensively, with Case Keenum, he's basically been running hot and cold the majority of the year, but I really can't figure out which team is going to show up any given Sunday. Is it going to be the Broncos squad that's going to lay a goose egg like they did against the Jets, or the team that won this past Sunday against the Steelers?
And it's been the rookie tandem of Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman that have done a great job. They got a good infusion of youth right there. And they did get burned, though, the defense, by Juju Schuster for 97 yards. So they got to account for things like that going down the line. But they are a team not to be taken lightly. The Packers, of course, and the Vikings, primetime game. And the Packers lost 24-17. Kirk Cousins, 342 passing yards, 3 touchdowns without a single turnover at all.
Green Bay has gotten so much weaker defensively, with or without Clay Matthews. They have been a complete letdown defensively. Offensively, I know Aaron Rodgers is capable of putting up some big numbers, but 17 points is not going to cut it. On the flip side, the Vikings have really put it together ever since their early season struggles. And, of course, having Kirk Cousins as the quarterback has helped them quite a bit. More importantly, Dalvin Cook is healthy, and their defense has gotten so much better.
Oh, yes. How about a team that really gotten better? The Colts, these last 5 games, including Andrew Luck throwing 3 touchdowns in their latest victory over the Dolphins. They were down by 10 points with 8 minutes to go, and they were able to rip off 13 straight points, including the game-winning field goal by, of all people, Adam Vinatieri for 32 yards as time expired. They win 27-24. This was a much-needed win. It keeps them on pace, not only for the AFC South, but for that final 6th seed in the AFC playoff picture.
Their wins have not necessarily been good-looking at times, but they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. More importantly, now that Andrew Luck is 100% healthy, he's played so much better. His field vision has gotten better. He's actually working with a competent offensive line.
Yep.
The running game that he has is good. More importantly, his defense is supporting him.
A lot better than I've seen in years past, honestly. Because last year they were one of the worst defenses in the league. Marshawn Lattimore was maybe the only player they had another player. Anyway, the defense is relatively better. The offensive line has definitely done a lot better to protect him. He was on a 4-game streak in which he wasn't even being sacked at all. So that shows you right there. The Colts are going the right direction. Speaking of directions, the Buccaneers, you can't even figure them out. They're hot and cold. But this week they were playing the 49ers. They're the village idiots of I wouldn't say the idiots of the league, but they are one of the worst teams in the league. And you're working with a guy who is a backup quarterback who's never been drafted like Nick Mullins. Let's put it this way. Bucs beat the Niners 27-9. Winston had 2 touchdowns.
You'll have to excuse me for yawning just now. And you probably see me yawning a lot, both on this show and on my show. But that was my reaction to that Buccaneer-Niner game.
Yep. Patriots, Jets. The Jets, you have a chance to force it 4th down. Instead, you accept the penalty, giving them 3rd and 12, and you let the Patriots tie the game with a Brady touchdown to Gronkowski. Stupidity 101 in terms of coach management by Todd Bowles.
Well, knowing how the Patriots like to run things, they probably would have gone for it on 4th down anyway and probably converted. But it's past history right now. What's there to say? I mean, the Patriots are head and shoulders above everybody else in that division. And the worst part about it is they have to play each other one more time.
Week 17.
The last week of the year.
Yep. And Sony Michel really was a big part of this game. And the Jet fans, of course.
Slowly but surely, Sony Michel has become a real unsung hero for them in the backfield. He's gotten quite a few 100-yard games for them.
He did get hurt, unfortunately, so we don't know. But you still have James White. He's another dangerous threat in that backfield. And you have Edelman, who made some great plays in the game. Overall, yes, the Patriots are head and shoulders above every team in that division. They own the AFC East. It's theirs. In fact, they probably put stamp marks on all the other 3 teams. Now, for the Giants this week, they had a 19-0 lead. And then at the end of the first half, Eli Manning decides to rip off a throw with no receiver in sight, and he throws into the hands of an Eagles defenseman. Right there, they're able to slowly but surely come back into the game, and they end up winning 25-22 on the Jake Elliott 43-yard field goal with 22 ticks to go on the clock.
I'll go one further. The Giants were attacking the Eagles defense with Saquon Barkley. He had 94 yards rushing in that first half. They had the Eagles on their heels. What was the difference in the second half? They just stopped making plays. They stopped being aggressive with the running game. They completely took the ball out of Barkley's hands. How do you justify giving him 2 carries for a grand total of 7 yards? It's like you said earlier. Feed the big dog. Give the ball to the one that has the hot hand, and the Giants just did not do it.
They choked. They choked. And they were coming off 2 consecutive victories. And if they would have won this game, they could have had a chance in the what people like to call the NFC least.
And can somebody please tell Odell Beckham Jr. to shut the hell up as far as going for the pass a little bit more? He caught 7 passes for over 100 yards. He did all that he could have done. What was there left to do? The answer was give the ball to Saquon Barkley. They could not stop him. And what do? They completely go away from their original game plan. Just a complete and utter. This wasn't a choke job. This was an example of a team letting it slip away. They completely let this game slip away from them.
Yep.
You just don't do that. This is what separates contenders from have-nots.
And now week 12 ending, we're into week 13. Starting last night, Saints-Cowboys. Cowboys beat the Saints 13-10, including that huge screen pass by Ezekiel Elliott on 3rd and 12 early in the game, and that was the difference right there.
This is where you give the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys a lot of credit. He saw something in that Saints offense, and he decided to go with a lot of the blitzes, a couple of them safety and corner blitzes, and it worked wonders for them. It forced Breeze to turn over the ball a couple of times. More importantly, it cut the Saints' scoring load to a whopping 10 points in this game. I mean, usually when it comes to games like Saints and Cowboys, you expect for it to be 35-31 or 41-37. This was an outstanding game that was played between these two teams. Now that the Cowboys have shown that they can win the big game against a really great team, they're set up for the rest of the season. They have the Eagles again, then the Colts, then the Buccaneers and Giants. This is their golden opportunity
to make things happen. Now let's go into the rest of the games with less than 18 to go. We're gonna go through all these games rapid fire. Bears, Giants. I got the Bears this week. I'm thinking Khalil Mack, 3 sacks on Eli Manning.
Watch the Giants do something stupid, like turn Chase Daniel into Jim McMahon
Or Joe Montana. Jets, Titans, Music City, Nashville. I'm thinking this week Marcus Mariota is going to run roughshod over that Jets defense. I think he's going to have a 80-yard rushing performance. And look out for Corey Davis. He's probably going to get 110 yards on 7 receptions and 2 touchdowns. Give me the Titans.
I have no words to describe the Jets right now. I really don't. We know that they're dreadful, but otherwise, I don't know how to describe this team. I mean, they could sneak away with the victory or get their heads handed to them. I couldn't begin to tell you what can happen here.
You're going with heads handed probably, right?
The way they're playing these last 5 games wouldn't surprise me.
The game of the week, Vikings, Patriots. I love this match.
Let's see what the Vikings can do against a real contender like the Patriots, a team that's owned the AFC for the last almost 18 years now. This is a really classic interconference matchup right here.
This is basically Patriots offense versus Vikings defense. Classic matchup. I still go with New England all day, every day.
I like New England also. I just think that they're much better defensively than people give them credit for.
How about the Sunday night game? We got Chargers, Steelers. Right here is a classic matchup right here, but at the end of the day, I definitely got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming out strong. They just have to cut down the turnovers. Last week, Connors had a major turnover, and so did Xavier Grimble going to the end zone against the Broncos. They can't make mistakes like that against this Chargers defense, but I don't think they will. They're going to cut down on that. Look for the Steelers to take advantage. They win this game.
I'm not too sure about this one. I mean, when you think about it, the Chargers have probably been more comfortable playing on the road this year than playing in L.A., which is a home that, quite frankly, they have no business being in right now. But unfortunately, they have that 25-year lease that they signed with the city, so now they're going to be there for the next quarter century. Something tells me that the Chargers can come up with a really big victory here. Plus, they're much more solid defensively than people give them credit for.
And without Melvin Gordon, now that's going to be even tough. That's this thing. But they do got other players. Definitely.
Keep in mind, Phillip Rivers is the other quarterback in this game aside from Big Ben. And dare I say that the Chargers come away with a victory in this one? The way the Steelers were just looked really, really average, the way they played against the Broncos last weekend, I think San Diego pulls off the upset. I like the Chargers in this one.
Freudian slip. You're still calling them San Diego.
You know what? As far as I'm concerned, they will always be the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles.
The NFC East, Redskins, Eagles, Monday night. This is a pivotal matchup for both teams in trying to contend in that division. And to be honest there, I got the Eagles winning this one. I think Golden Tate will have a good performance against Josh Norman. Look for him to outclass him and outfox him in every way.
I should say that I like the Eagles in this one, but for some reason, I think the Redskins are going to give them a lot of trouble. Ooh. But still, with Carson Wentz on the other side, and you say that Alex Smith is officially gone for the year, and now that they have to use Colt McCoy.
And Sanchez is the backup quarterback.
Colt McCoy, yeah, that's right. Mark Sanchez just recently signed with them. Colt McCoy has been in the Redskins system for 5 years now, almost 5 years. Eventually, after mastering that offense for the last 5 years, he's going to have to do something. So I think the Skins take this one.
All right, I like your pick right there, but I'm still gonna stick with the Eagles and Zach Ertz, who's having a career season. Basically, could be the first 100-yard receiver.
And you're right about one thing: that is critical to both teams' playoff hopes, or whatever is left of their playoff hopes.
And what about another team matchup critical for playoff hopes? The 5-6 Broncos and Bengals colliding in the Queen City. Andy Dalton is out for the year. Now you got Jeff Driscoll going up against the likes of Von Miller and Darian Stewart and Bradley Roby in that secondary.
Okay, now we come down to reality here. Who would you put your money on? Jeff Driscoll or Case Keenum, a guy who actually had some success at one point? In this case, I'll take the guy who's got a really solid defense to support him. I'm picking the Broncos in this one.
Oh, me too. And not only that, I really think this week Philip Lindsay against a defense that, this Bengals defense at one point gave up 3 straight games of 500-plus yards. They had to fire Terrell Austin, their coordinator. Mm-hmm. Marvin Lewis is actually calling the defensive play calls. I still think the Broncos, and look for...
One other thing in regards to the Bengals, they hired Hugh Jackson.
Enough said.
And there are Hugh Jackson as head coach of the Bengals rumors.
What, so he wants to destroy the entire Buckeye State in one fell swoop, ruin one franchise and ruin another? That's just stupid right there.
As if not enough has happened to poor Marvin Lewis, a guy who's bent over backwards, working his ass off, trying to make that team better.
I know. And this year, with all the things that are befalling them, I think it's high time they go in a different direction and not Hugh Jackson. Look what he did to Cleveland. Right there alone, that should make you think twice. Now, 2 birds, the Ravens and the Falcons. The bird is the word, the bird is the word.
Well, you could say that again, but the question is, which bird is going to fly here? The dirty bird or the raven?
Quote the raven nevermore. Look at Lamar Jackson. He is the tall tale heart of the team. He's going to run roughshod, and he's going to quote everybody on that Falcons defense.
The Falcons have been such a disappointment this season. It's a real shame to see how far they've fallen. On the flip side, things are rolling just right for the Ravens. They made they made the quarterback change kind of by accident because Flacco got hurt. But Lamar Jackson has been everything as advertised for the Ravens. That's why I'm picking the Ravens to win this one here.
Panthers, Buccaneers. The Panthers need this win the worst way to keep whatever slim playoff hopes they have alive after losing 3 consecutive games. And honestly, they're going up against a Bucs team that's not going to have Deshaun Jackson this week. He's out. But you still have to deal with some of the other players, including Peyton Barber, who's actually been who's improved and been used a lot more. But we're talking about Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey, who basically are a nightmare for any defensive coordinator to deal with. And they've only lost games by less than 3 points. Look for them to make a statement this week against the Buccaneers.
And while the Panthers have Cam Newton, who do the Buccaneers have as their quarterback duo?
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitztragic. 2 guys who you could probably pick one of their names out of a hat, and you don't know what you're going to get with either one.
Browns, Texans. I definitely like the Houston Texans keeping up their 9-game winning streak. They're at home. They're basically fighting for their city, for the memory of Bob McNair. They got this.
Yeah, I like the Texans also. I mean, as well as the Browns have played at times this season, I just don't know how Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, is making a homecoming to the state of Texas, because he was born and raised there and started his college career, I think, at Texas Christian before transferring to Oklahoma. Yep. I don't know how he can possibly react to a Texans squad that's so solid defensively, especially with J.J. Watt.
I know. Who's having a resurgent year at 11.5 sacks. He could be in line for Defensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year. So, yeah, I definitely like the Texans in this one. Colts, Jaguars. Colts on the winning side of things, the Jaguars on the losing side of things. And now that Fournette's out this week, basically they're gonna have a tough time running the football, and Cody Kessler starting at quarterback. I got the Colts basically dominating from start to finish.
Well, the numbers match up in the Colts' favor, but the Jaguars have been rather unpredictable this year. They came up with a big win against the Patriots early in the year, and now they're in the midst of a 7-game losing streak.
Yep.
What the hell? It's all Colts all the time in this one. I mean, Blake Bortles is incompetent. Now he's been benched. Now they have to go to their backup quarterback. This is a perfect storm of dreadful that's gonna be going against Jacksonville this time.
Yep. L.A. Rams, Detroit Lions. Rams coming off their bye week. I think the Rams definitely will make a statement in Detroit as well. Detroit basically had a chance to get back in the game against Chicago, and unfortunately, Stafford threw an interception in the end zone to Kyle Fuller.
Speaking of perfect storms, this is the Rams game where they should cover the spread here. I'm not sure what the line is, but considering that the Lions are basically a one-man team of Matthew Stafford and very little else, maybe Golden Tate, although that's not really saying much, I think the Rams are ripe to get a 35 to 40-point game here against the Lions. Let's put it that way.
AFC East divisional rivalry, Bills, Dolphins. If I had to pick this game, of course, I'm actually going to go for the Miami Dolphins this week.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins also because I don't like the Bills quarterback situation. I mean, granted, they have Josh Allen, who's a rookie, but right now he's got that rookie wall that he's hit, and he hasn't even played that great this season either.
And the problem with the Dolphins, they've lost 6 out of 8. They had a 3-0 start to the year. They've lost 6 out of 8. Last week, they had a 24-14 lead over the Colts. They decided to run the ball, only killing about 2.5 minutes off the clock in their game against the Colts, instead of letting Tannehill free throw the ball. You know, he was not happy with the play calling of Adam Gase. This week, give him some free range. Let him make some plays. Let him do what he can do to help this Dolphins team close out a victory. Now we got the next game here. Cardinals versus the Packers in Lambeau. This time, The Packers can't buy a win on the road, but at home, they're 4-0-1. Look for them to basically get win number 5 at home against a Cardinals team that has a rookie QB that is getting his wings.
Josh Rosen.
Yep. No relation whatsoever. I keep telling you that.
This is a no-brainer. All Packers all the time here. I mean, granted, the Packers defense has been really, really mediocre this year, but I would think that they would devise a game plan for a kid like Josh Rosen.
Oh, yes. And not only that, you got 2 ex-UCLA players going up against each other. Devontae Adams for the Packers, and you got Josh Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
Sunny UCLA going to cold Green Bay. You know what the 22-4 home record for the Packers in December since 2006.
And by the way, with Josh Rosen now in the NFL, UCLA has taken a complete and utter nosedive. And while Sam Darnold is in the NFL, so has USC. They're both going to be sitting at home watching the bowl games.
And even Florida State for the first time since the 1970s. Who would have thought?
Wow.
Those 3 squads. The 49ers, Seahawks. Usually this would be the game that you mark in your calendar as a classic rivalry. This is basically a one-sided butt-kicking of epic proportions. And I'm talking about the Seahawks trouncing the Niners and basically making mincemeat out of them. And the only compelling story that's coming out of this is the return of Richard Sherman to Seattle.
I
since his
wonder
release.
how he's going to be received by the Seahawk fans because they loved this guy.
Yep.
Not only because of his colorful personality, but because he was an impact defensive back for them.
But how do you think the Packer fans reacted to Favre when he came back as a Viking and all that?
Oh, when he came back as a Minnesota Viking, they booed the hell out of him. And now that he's going to be wearing the colors of the 49ers, they might be booing him too. Although I gotta be honest with you, they have got to cheer this guy because for what he did with that team for 7 years, helping them to a pair of Super Bowls in a row, including a championship, why not cheer for the guy?
After all, he basically was the reason for the Legion of Boom defense. He, along with Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, revolutionized the way football was played for the last few years. So, honestly, yes, the Seahawk fans should at least give him that respect and what he's done for charities and organizations in the Seattle area. And he's a very smart individual, too, as well. Unfortunately, the 49ers have not been smart this year or great.
And
but
all I will
got the
say
Seahawks.
is all Seahawks all the time. The 49ers are dreadful. I will say this, though. They would not be this bad without Jimmy Garoppolo.
I know. And had he not torn his ACL as well as Jerick McKinnon before the season even began, this game could have been flexed to a prime time had both teams done well this year. Now, Chiefs, Raiders. The Raiders are their season's pretty much done. They're fighting for the number 1 overall pick with the Niners and the Cardinals, going up against a team that's 9-2. The Chiefs, despite the stupidity and lack of judgment and morals of Kareem Hunt, overall, this Chiefs squad is still 10 times. They're 16.5-point favorites in this game over the Raiders. I definitely think they're going to not only cover the spread and then some. Give me the Chiefs.
I like the Chiefs also. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, aside from the couple of losses that he's had this year, has been a beast at quarterback.
The beast incarnate. Din. Oh, well, I'm channeling my inner Brock Lesnar. But college football, we're in championship week.
Yep.
The big one, Alabama, Georgia, 4 o'clock.
Southeastern Conference title. And also there's the ACC title, Clemson and Pittsburgh, the Big Ten title.
Northwestern, Ohio State.
The Big 12 championship has Texas and Oklahoma in a game that's going to be played at AT&T Stadium and is going to feature a lot of Longhorn fans.
How about the UAB Blazers in the Conference USA title game against Middle Tennessee?
And how about UAB bringing their football team back just 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden they have a chance at a conference title. And there's also, in the next couple of minutes, the Pac-12 title. Yeah. Washington and
Utah.
And
as we speak, Northern Illinois and Buffalo in the MAC championship, and Liberty's trying to get their 6th win for bowl eligibility this week, but even if they do, that's not going to happen. It's because they're a first-year team in the FBS. But I definitely like Alabama and Tuvalu for sure.
Yep. They're also going to have a couple of makeup games. Stanford's going to play California in what they call the big game. And also Virginia Tech is going to have a makeup game with East Carolina to try and keep their bowl eligibility alive.
Yeah, some really good games, so keep your eyes on all that stuff. Jamie, thank you as always for joining me. For all the hardworking men and women at CTV, for Mr. Jamie the Sportsman Hickson doing what he does best, and Kenny Graham behind the booth, I'm Eric Rosen. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Blitz Zone here on CTV. Good night. Peace.